Welcome, hello, Yasu. Hi, it's me again, Tai, and today it's COVID reflection. It is about 5 years ago since this pandemic, this COVID-19 epidemic, as it was told. I don't want to dig into the origin of this happening. I want to share some thoughts about the happenings after. Because when it was time for COVID, there were many lockdowns. There were things regulated. You were not allowed to go for a restaurant. The masks did appear, and so I I thought it would help people to get a little more reflection about themselves. So it would have been theoretically a great opportunity for self reflection because people were isolated. Many people did do home office instead of working in the office. People were forced to check their shopping lists. While I stop a little because there got a big problem too, lasting until today. However, you had to modify your daily life. And this modification of your daily life, this modification of things you could not even get hold on, and being careful with your fellow workmates, and to some people even learning to wash their hands, while I can tell you from observings in the office, there are still people who are going to the toilet, walking out, and you don't hear the water running. So they did not learn to wash their hands after toilet, still until today, 5 years after. Okay, not everything did fall onto fruitful soils, I think. Also, I see some heavy impacts in society, in mental health, in when it comes to the daily costs of living, there is still an impact, and this is 5 years after. So I want to dig into this a little bit, and of course, exclusively out of my side, as for somebody who is sensing people, and as for somebody who is observing people very much. To those who don't know me yet, make sure to subscribe my channel so you stay updated. And also I give you a little update who I am. My name is Tai Kölner. I'm an author, I'm a black magician, I'm a follower of the draconian path. So I'm working with entities which are not only the lightest ones, so to say. I'm working very much about shadow works, and I do not scare back to check on my own dark sides, because only if we know ourselves we can grow to the best we can be. This epidemic was one of the best possibilities for humankind to grow, to face their fears, to think. But instead, something else happened. And this is what I want to tell you about. So let's start about these lockdowns we had. We had lockdowns which in some countries you were not even allowed to leave house. In some countries there were temporarily times when you were able to leave the house just to get something to eat. But the joke on this was, if you're standing with thousands of people in a row for buying some food, how high is the infection there? And also there was militaries and police controlling on the streets, so it was a high level of control regime. Also there were people who did hamster shop. So this is something what happened in most countries. They bought toilet paper in a mass. They bought olive oil or oil for staking your steak. They did buy everything what you can store, like it was shopping like before a war. And this is interesting because there were also lists in the internet, sometimes even from states majorities, which were telling people you should store this, 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 and this in case you're sick and you cannot leave the house. And this gave a bad result. If you had a middle or higher income, you were shopping like hell for stupid things you do need in daily life, but not in this amount. And then there were people who had not that much money and who were not able to hamster buy. And so now something happened. Because of this hamster buyings, the prices did rise. So guess who was the fucked in the end? The people who were not able to do hamster buys were that ones who did pay for an oil what was about €1.10. They did pay €4. Or for a toilet paper, what now is double the price. And this is not only about the articles what were hamster buyed, but also because it was so handy, everything was rising in prices. Everything was rising in prices. So today, there is, if you buy a simple yogurt, for example, I was in France yesterday, and I did buy a natural yogurt, simple way, 4 little cups of yogurt. It was 96 cents, so less than €1. Here you go for a shop and you buy the same article for €1.20. So tell me why. It was a time when it was 50 cents, 60 cents for these 4 cups in a row. And also this was about milk, this was about butter, this was about farine, this was about everything in your life was getting more and more and more expensive. So this was nothing because people were not going to work. This was nothing because it was hard to get the materials to place them into the shops. It was 2 things happening. It was one side, this hamster buyings, because if there is a need to produce, because there are so many people asking for the article, whatever, they have to produce even more. And because they know people are buying it like hell, the prices are higher. Or you did buy everything what is reachable at market, so at the same time the prices go high because there are more people asking for the same product which is not available right now. However, this was one point. The other point is we have many products which are delivered from other countries. So of course you can buy a t-shirt for about, let's say, 50-40 euro if you buy it from a producer here in Germany. I could name names, but I don't want to do a commercial here. So, but the most articles you get are from other countries. So now imagine this border controls happening during the COVID time. So now imagine the lockdowns at the borders while COVID time. They, for example, had a container from China. This container was disinfected in China, and so it was transported onto the ship, and it was not able to leave until all these control checks were done. So this was eating time. So it was by the ship, it was transported to Hamburg or Bremen, whatever, and there was the same thing. It was disinfection, it was security things to do, so it was in delay again. And I'm working in a customer service as well, and so I was midst at the front of this battle. There were people who did not understand that if they buy in an online shop a bikini for their summer vacations, that this bikini is not available within 3 days. At least, why not yesterday? So something like this. And they were quite angry about the delivery delays and so on. But I was not allowed to say a word about why these delays happened. And this is so clear. It is so damn clear. If you buy something online, and if this article is not in stock yet, or if the catalog was made half a year before, so the shops are delivered by the producer, and the producer are waiting for the materials from their producer, and this is just in time delivering today. And then there were the lockdowns. So the producer didn't get their stuff from the deliverers, and the shops didn't get their stuff from the producers, and in the end the customers didn't get their stuff because their oh so holy bikini wasn't delivered right in time before summer vacation. You can imagine it was a hard time for the customer service, because we were in the end of the row and we could not do anything else but telling, okay, cancel the order or wait another 3 weeks. We have no idea when it will appear. Yeah, this was one thing happen because people did not really understand what is happening. So I saw many empty shelves in the shop, and also on online shop it was always the problem, it was not in stock. So same as the local shops. However, people run crazy because I can't shop. So, okay, this was one thing. The other thing is people did learn to scare. They, even in families, when you got a visitor and one was vaccinated and the other was not vaccinated, to being honest, the one in danger was the one not vaccinated. Now imagine you want to embrace your family and they are vaccinated and you want to give them a hug and they just jump away because you're not vaccinated. So, but just for an example, yeah, you meet somebody who is vaccinated, who is protected. And these ones were the people jumping away when you say you're not vaccinated. To be serious, if they would have been infected by that moment, it wouldn't have been them in danger. I understand there are older people, sick people, or let's say babies who are more in danger about sicknesses, but this is on every influenza you got in the autumn time. If you get a bad health condition and you get an infection, it's dangerous to you and you might die on that. So, but there was a general fear growing, what was even judging on people without even having contact to them. And this was something very negative. Then something happened, you found people who finally got into home office as they ever wanted. Okay, there is a benefit and a downside. There are people who are able to work alone. They are able to close the door and to work in this office all alone for 6-7 hours without having contact to other colleagues, maybe just via internet or telephone, and they are able to blink out that they are at home. So it's not about doing the laundry or going out with the dog or the kids are running around. You have to blink out all that. If you can skip out all this, and if you can silently work alone in your office, it is a perfect match. But there were many people who went into home office and who got back to the office because they could not handle to be this lonely. And if they got no family, they were even more lonely because they did depend on talking to colleagues, changing emotional impacts and so on. And they did not have this. I can tell you, even if you were at office, it wasn't given anyways, with some exceptions. Because even at office, there were the places separated, so you got your distance to your neighbor. There was less of talking. They did even demand that you may not gather more than 2 or 3 people talking together. And when you met on the stairways somewhere, You were talking to somebody, but you did not see the face. Why didn't you see the face? Because of these masks all the time. But there was one colleague, and she was really, really cool. I like her. When we met at the stairs, and I started to smile, she started to smile, and it was like, it didn't make a difference between us because we were reading eyes. And she once told to me, even with a mask, you're smiling in a circle and your eyes are telling everything. And I said, yes, dearie, same on you. But the most people, they never did learn to watch into each other's eyes. And most people did never learn to read faces or to listen to voices, to the tone of voice. They did not learn it. I don't know why. And now this COVID epidemic with these masks did do something very, very nasty. They were not able to read the lips. And even if they did read mimic before, it was hidden beyond the mask. So they only were able to listen to the voice as far they could understand it behind these masks. And they did, they were forced nearly to read eyes. But if you never watched eyes, can you handle the gaze? If you're looking into one other's eyes, how long can you last for watching into somebody's eyes? And this was exactly the problem. Because these people who were now working alone at home, when they went shopping, they had a mask. They didn't understand what people are telling them because the mimic was hidden. And they did scare to watch into each other's eyes because there is a high potential to read more of a person if you look into their eyes than the words are telling you. So I really did hope that this would give a kick to the evolution of empath, of techniques, of watching into each other's eyes, of learning to read people on another level, on another social complexity, to work together. Just because you were depending on using other senses than just your eyes. Now it is 5 years later. We still have a problem on our prices. It's slowly going down, very slowly. But still, if you did buy a bread for €1.50, it's now nearly double the price. If you want to buy butter, it's nearly double the price. If you want to buy oil, it's still more expensive than before. And there are so many things which did rise in their prices. And so people are getting uncomfortable with the situation, and there is something more kicking into, so the fear of future. First, during Corona time, they had fear of future because of their health. Now the society did turn and the costs did rise like this, and they fear for the future. Also, one thing in Corona time was when these ones who were working at home right now, they went home for home office, and probably there was a family at home. So guess what? It was a high time of divorces because people were not used to live this much together. This was an impact of COVID time as well. There were many children born, and there was a high level of divorces. Now there is a thing happening I don't like to see, but as my musen said, this evolvement fails. Now I thought that this regularis, this COVID thing, would help people to evolve, to grow more beyond themselves, to become better human, to read each other's, to understand. But instead we got many people who are in fear. about health, about future, about money, about living. And we got a high price level. Prices are slowly going down, but people don't feel it. And also the hiring of the paycheck was not that much. And let's see what happens in the next years. But the evolvement I did hope for did not happen. There is still judgment, there is still fear, and I'm curious what will happen in a few years. I was totally surprised that already 5 years went. But yeah, let's see what is happening next. But let's see what is happening next. I just want to kick this into the room. So if you go for this empathic gifts, and this is what I will do in another video, you see all these evolvements or developments with other eyes, because you don't see the mimic of the person, you don't see the body of the person, you rather see the emotion of the person. And there we had some very negative developments and a few wonderful bloomings of artists who did recreate themselves, of personalities who suddenly got their stand, and this is wonderful. But the most people still are stuck in this time, and this is, we have to get loose of that. We have to kick free from this. You will not die tomorrow, and if you die tomorrow, well, if I die tomorrow, what happens? Will you miss me for a few months maybe, or years? So it is, don't fear about death, don't fear about future. You can only do what you can do now. And if you feel that the pressure is too high, look for solutions, but never allow fear to chain you down. So this about my last words about this COVID pandemic. I will get into this maybe in a few years again. I wish you a wonderful one and see you next time.